It's recorded in my head. We can talk about it again. Okay, so that's how the Gita starts. So the first chapter, although it's not teaching, it's about how a person gets to this teaching. And you'll see in your life, it may not happen as dramatically as it happened for Arjun, but for us, maybe these things build up slowly. But at the end of the day, we come to recognize that, I don't have all the answers. And, that I am willing and open to take some assistance in a humble way from something. Maybe it's just the Gita. Maybe it's not one guru, it's multiple people who are teaching you, whatever it is. But you will need that. Without it, you will not be able to make progress. Okay? This is different from all the other learnings that we've had in life. Every other learning, we don't have to be so committed. We don't have to guru is useful, but we can also learn using a book. We can do all kinds of things. It doesn't affect the very core of our being, you know. It's just knowledge, Arya. This is affecting the core of our being. So this is a different kind of teaching. So that's the first chapter. We went through that. Then what did Bhagwan Krishna say when he started talking? So the first thing he said was that there is no need for grief. So, Arjun was grieving in a very big way. He was really upset. He was, so Bhagwan Krishna said, no, no, don't worry. The the people who are wise, who know, they don't grieve. Because you're grieving. I mean, he was trying to tell him that you're grieving because you're attached. And you're thinking that by all this, you're going to bring an end to the people who you're attached to. He said that is not the case. You're being asked to do things which are the right things to do. You have to your job as a warrior is to fight adharma, to fight on the side of the dharma. So that's what you have to do. Now, yes, you're grieving because you're attached. But wise people don't grieve. That means there is no need for this attachment. There is no need for grief. And then he went on to say why. He said the reason why there is no need for this grief is because you think that all these people are going to die and they are going to finish forever. That you will die, I will die, Bhisham will die, Drona will die. No, that's not true. They will not die. Their bodies will die, but they will not die. Because nobody dies. Because the reason why we are thinking like this, why we get so attached, why we get so emotional, why we get so, you know, like everything is an existential problem, is because in the back of our mind, we think when this body is gone, everything is gone. Khatam ho gaya, finished. So Krishna Bhagwan is saying, no, no, that is not the case. That is not how it is. So he introduces the concept of, he introduces to them not the concept, but the reality of Dehi. He says, Deha is your body and mind. That's what you see. That's what you hear. That's what you think. That's all your experience so far has been about the Deha. Deha is what? Body and mind. या तो तुम सोचते हो, आपको पता है मैं सोचता हूँ, आपको पता है बॉडी इज देयर, सब दिखता है. और जब लोग मर जाते हैं तो बॉडी जल जाती है, गई. Then you say this man is gone, it's finished. But what you are not seeing, because that can't be seen, is something called the Dehi. Dehi is that which resides inside the Deha. Deha is the body. Dehi is that thing which we also call the Ātma, which resides inside the body. It's not a thing that can be seen, touched, felt, heard, nothing. In fact, in the future, in the next verse, he says, then the next one, a few verses later, he says that it cannot be cut by any weapon. You throw water at it, it won't get wet. You set fire to it, it won't burn. Right? You blow wind at it, it won't dry. Nothing will affect it because it cannot be. It's achintya. Achintya means you can't think about it. Right? It's nityam. That means it doesn't. It's eternal. It was never born. It will never die. Right? That is what Dehi is. And it will never change. It's avyayam. So he introduces Dehi to Arjun. And the thing about the Dehi is that Dehi, if you want to know about the Dehi, you have to go to the Shastra. Shastra meaning Shastra is one means, but you can go to Christianity too. You can go to any place where they are talking about these things. Because other than the words of the Shastra, which are conveyed to you by the Guru, there is no other way to know the Dehi. बिकॉज हम क्या करते हैं, कुछ हमको जानना होता है तो हम सोचते हैं देखेंगे उसको, सुनेंगे उसको, उसके बारे में सोचेंगे, विचार करेंगे, लॉजिक लगाएंगे, इसी तरह से हम जानते हैं. एवरीथिंग दैट वी हैव लर्नड इन आवर लाइफ, वी हैव लर्नड बाय दिस प्रोसेस. Even learning about your husbands and wives, not just physics and math, learning not just language, but even learning about other people, you do by experiencing them, by talking to them, by listening to them. Then you think about it and say, oh, that is how they behave. Maybe this is what they are. So we are used to using our senses and using our brain. That's how we learn about things. But neither your senses nor your brain can take you to the Dehi. So there are beautiful lines which have been written in Gita and other Upanishads which talk about it. They say the eyes don't reach there, the voice doesn't reach there. You cannot hear it, you cannot smell it. The mind doesn't go there, much less anything else. You can't even imagine it. So how would you ever know this Dehi? So the reason why even you guys know that there is something called Ātma is because someone told you. When you guys were growing up, when we were all growing up, we learned there is something called Ātma. But nobody has seen the Ātma. In fact, if it wasn't for Sharanagati, if it wasn't for the fact that you have reached a situation at some stage in life where you're saying, I can't live, this life has got too many puzzles for me. Somebody dear has died. I don't know what is happening to them. These kind of things happen to us. I am going to die. What will happen to me? When we reach these sort of things, that's when we go what's called Sharanagati. With Sharanagati, we go to a scripture or a guru, and that's when you know about the Dehi. So that's the only way to know about the Dehi. So right away, right up front, right in the beginning 3-4 verses, Bhagwan Krishna introduces Arjun to the Dehi. Now, introducing and understanding are two different things. It takes 18 verses, 18 chapters of the Gita for Arjun to understand the Dehi. Right? But first you have to introduce. There's the first step. So the introduction happens right in the beginning. And then throughout, Krishna Bhagwan keeps telling him about the Dehi, what the Dehi is, what the Dehi is not, because Arjun keeps thinking, oh, Dehi is like this, then it's like this. He keeps telling you, no, not that, not that, not that, not that. And finally, at some stage, Arjun says, okay, I think I got it. Okay. So that's why it takes these chapters. But that's the first thing he tells. Then, like, he's
a very question on logistics. How does all this conversation take place while the war is going on? Or
It's not started yet.
It's not started, I know, but it's a long time. I mean, this is a long teaching, no?
Yeah, I mean, it's a long teaching, meaning it's 700 verses. So it must have taken 3 or 4 hours, right?
So the war is not going on at that time. They're just
No,
waiting.
no. This is before the war starts.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
but
so
they are in the war. I mean, they are in
no, because Arjun has
They're
not yet
facing
decided that he's going to go to war.
Okay.
So he's all the while that Gita is going on, Arjun is saying, I will not go for war.
But they are on the battlefield.
But they're on the
They're
battlefield.
in the middle of the battlefield, in between the two armies. Both armies have blown their conches.
Yeah.
They have declared, we are ready to fight. They're waiting for Arjun and Krishna Bhagwan to start the fight. They can't start the fight if they, it's like if the opposite team is not ready.
Yeah.
They're not going to start the fight. There's a dharma in the fight too. So Arjun is not, he's put his weapon down. He's sitting on his chariot. Bhagwan Krishna is talking to him, so they are not going to start fighting. Right? So this is all happening.
Got it.
Only after the 18th chapter, Arjun says, I am ready. I'm ready to fight. Then the fight starts. Okay. So, but still your question is totally valid. This teaching takes a lifetime to learn.
Yeah.
If you're lucky.
Yeah.
Otherwise, multiple lifetimes.
Yeah.
Arjun could not have learnt it in 3 hours.
Yeah. Right.
So there is some poetic license here.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, in fact, actually, my Sanskrit teacher, he tells me very crazy. He said that there is a Bhandarkar Oriental Institute in India of Sanskrit and culture. So they did their research on the Mahabharata, and they said, first of all, that there are like 40, 50 different versions of the Mahabharata. Each region has created its own version of the Mahabharata. They've added little things, they've taken out things, they've made it all different. So there's the original Mahabharata, the Valmiki Mahabharata, which was the first written Mahabharata. So they looked at that Mahabharata and they said, based on the language and inflection and the tone and everything of the Gita, and the language and the inflection of the Mahabharata, they concluded that the Gita has been inserted into the Mahabharata at a later date.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So मैंने कहा यार, you're telling me all this. I said, if you tell this to the Indians, there'll be a danga. People are going to go to the street.
Yeah.
I said, absolutely. So we are not. But there's a big, the Bhandarkar Oriental Institute, which is, apparently the preeminent institute for culture and science, Sanskrit studies in India. This is their conclusion. So, but of course, it doesn't really matter because
Yeah, it doesn't
so
really
much
matter.
Shraddha in the Gita
Yeah.
that it doesn't matter kab hua, kya hua, but
Yeah.
the words of the Gita are so powerful
Yeah.
that you forget all of these things. Because we are talking about chapter 1, so we are remembering this.
Yeah.
Who remembers all this when we get into the
Yeah.
teachings of the Gita?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway. So that's how, so he started introduced about the Dehi. Then he said what the Dehi is, the qualities of the Dehi. Then he said, then not just the Dehi, there is also something called the Tattva, which is the same as Dehi, not different, but that is the truth of the Sat, of everything in the world. So basically, he said that not just your Atma, but that same Atma is the Atma of everything in the world. Not के जो नीता की आत्मा है मेरी आत्मा है इट्स द सेम आत्मा ऑफ कोर्स वो तो हम समझ सकते हैं वी आर ऑल ह्यूमन बीइंग्स वो हाथी की आत्मा भी वही है बंदर की आत्मा भी वही है राक्षस की आत्मा भी वही है वो पत्थर की आत्मा भी वही है और चट्टान की आत्मा भी वही है एनीथिंग यू कैन थिंक ऑफ इन दिस वर्ल्ड द सब्सटेंस ऑफ दैट इज दिस तत्व द तत्व ऑफ इट इज दिस आत्मा दिस कॉन्शियसनेस ठीक है and this was pretty heavy teaching like you can imagine Arjuna is not going to get it when first told like how can there be one Atma which is everybody's Atma ठीक है so it's okay we will get to it slowly reintroduce it again and again and again so if you don't understand it we don't understand it it's fine we can live with it
Yeah.
right and then he went on to describe how this Atma is the thing that continues जो body है जो देहा है it's like a cloth that you wear it's like clothes that you wear when they get old you discard them you get new ones so when our body its time is gone we discard it we get a new one and then that time is gone we discard it we get another one so he said he's giving all this to tell him that there is no reason for grief don't think that if Dronacharya is going to be dead tomorrow, that Dronacharya is finished. Dronacharya will never die. And he said, I never died, you will never die, all these kings, they will never die. Their bodies will die. So he concludes by saying, the bodies, there's nothing you can do to prevent the bodies from dying. Nothing. But then, there's nothing you can do to kill the Atma either. You'll say, I will kill his Atma. There's nothing you can do. You can't. Or you say, I will save his body only for a little bit. You can't save also. So he said, you have to accept this fact. You have to accept what is real, what is unreal. Accept that the body is unreal. It will die. Accept that the Atma is real. It will never die. And when you have the right acceptance, when you know the facts and you accept the facts, then the sorrow goes away. Because sorrow is not our nature. Right? This is superimposed on us. So he said all that. Let me now go to the next verse because we had then iske baad we had started talking about Karam Yoga, but we had missed out a verse in between. We had missed out 25 onwards, verse 25 onwards, because we felt it was getting too much. It was, we had just started and there was a lot of gyan going on. So let's go back now because we are coming to the close of chapter 2. So I'm going to take you through that verse. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
So, here's the verse that I was telling you, Vasam Si Jirnani. Like when just as the person gives up old clothes, etc., then weapons do not slay the self, nor does the fire burn it, right? Water doesn't wet it. It cannot be slain, burned, drowned, all these things. Then we went on to 225. And this one now says, avyakta ayam. That means this here, avyakta ayam. That means this self is avyakta. Avyakta means unmanifest. And it was because of this word that we decided to postpone this to today because this word has to be really explained. And I'm going to do that in a minute. Let me just take you through the whole verse. Achintya aham. Ayam. Avyakta ayam. Achintya ayam. Achintya means you cannot think about it. It cannot be cognized. It's not something that you can, in your mind conceive. Chinta in Hindi is worry, but chinta in Sanskrit is thinking. Okay. Then avikārya ayam uchyate. Avikārya means it cannot change. It has no change. It's constant. Uchyate means it is said. So it is said that this ayam, this self, is avyakta, unmanifest, achintya, unthinkable, and avikārya, changeless. Tasmat evam, ये next line, tasmat evam viditvenam nanu shochantum, nanu shochitum arhasi. So tasmat evam, by therefore, knowing this, viditva means knowing, enam means this. So only by knowing this, once you know this, then there is no reason for grief. He was still explaining to Arjun why you should not grieve. Okay? So I'm going to shut this thing now. So this is the one we are talking about today. So let's understand what this avyakta means. And for this, I have to tell you the philosophy or the theory of how Vedanta thinks creation occurs. What is creation? Okay. So we can relax and talk about it. So now we go back to our famous favorite example of the clay pot, right? Form, substance, clay pot we've talked about. So now let's imagine that there's a potter, someone who's making pottery. Kumhar जिसे कहते हैं ना. He takes a lump of clay. And what is the shape of that lump of clay? It's just formless, right? We say there is no shape. कोई shape ही नहीं है. It's just a lump. From that, he can make a nice ghada. He will put it on his pottery wheel, उसको चलाएगा और उस लंप का उसका घड़ा बना देगा. तो अब क्या शेप है क्ले की?
घड़ा.
घड़ा, राइट? इट्स अ घड़ा शेप. अब उसने देखा थोड़ी देर ये घड़ा नाइस, ही इज नॉट फायर्ड इट येट, ही इज नॉट सेट इट, इतना कि नहीं होगा, अभी भी गीला गीला है, बट इट्स नाइस एंड ही एंजॉयज द घड़ा फॉर सम टाइम. देन ही सेज व्हाट, आई वांट अ डिफरेंट शेप. तो ही अगेन क्रश द क्ले. अभी भी गीली गीली क्ले है, नेसेसरी थोड़ा पानी भी डाल देगा. ठीक है, अगेन इट बिकम्स सॉर्ट ऑफ फॉर्मलेस lump of clay, क्रश कर दिया. Then he says, okay, now from this same lump, it's the same lump जिससे पहले घड़ा बना था, अब वो निकाल के उसने lump देख दिया. Now let me make something else from it. So वो बना देता है, एक ग्लास बना देता है उससे, टम्बलर. तो अब वो क्ले की शेप क्या है?
टम्बलर.
टम्बलर है ना. Then after some time he says, ये टम्बलर भी देख लिया मैंने, मजा हो गया, बहुत अच्छा है, अब कुछ और बनाता हूँ. Then he crushes the clay again, it becomes another lump of clay. And then उसके मन में आया, जो मन में आएगा उसके मन में आया, मैं इसका अब कप बनाता हूं. So he's a very skilled artisan. So उसने बैठ के उसको अपनी pottery wheel घुमाई and he made a cup out of it. Now what's the form of the clay?
Cup.
Cup, right? So what determines the form of the clay? The mind and the knowledge of the potter, right?
The maker.
The maker. So now the way Vedanta looks at this is when it takes a lump of clay, it doesn't say it has no shape because it says it has all infinite kind of shapes. All the shapes are already present in a potential form in this clay. It's up to the potter to figure out which of those shapes is he going to manifest from the clay. You can think about it like that, right? Because you can say it's all the shapes are there. I am going to convert it into this shape. You know, when you see a piece of stone, हम देखते हैं हमको तो कुछ नहीं दिखता. But if you look at a sculptor, when he looks at a piece of stone, a sculptor already he sees in his mind's eye what picture or what figure he's going to get out of that stone. In his mind, it's not just stone. In his mind, there's a vision of a sculpture which is in the stone. Then what he does is he carves it out. So similarly, when you think about this lump of clay, what Vedanta says is that all possible shapes are there in an unmanifest form, avyakta, in this clay. Depending upon the maker and his knowledge and his desire, he will manifest from there whichever shape he wants. And then what happens? After some time, that shape which he manifested, he gets tired of it. He again unmanifests it. The shape is gone. He crushes it again. That shape is gone. It's not that the shape is gone. It's just got unmanifested. It's back into the lump. He will take out a different shape now from the lump based on his desire and his knowledge. So he's manifesting a new shape from the lump. And after some time, that again also he will unmanifest back into the lump, resolve it, take out a new shape. So this is a simple example, but this is what is happening to our universe. Our universe, the clay in the case of our universe is Maya. It's the material Maya. From the Maya, Bhagwan or Ishwar or Brahman, whatever you want to call it, manifests this world, this lovely, beautiful, wonderful world. After some time, and sometime meaning in from our perspective, very, very long time, maybe from God's perspective, a moment, he unmanifests it again. It resolves back into Maya, and a new shape, a new creation emerges. And then that resolves back, and then a new one emerges. This is so the resolution back into the clay, into Maya, is called pralay. And the creation of the first new state is called shrishti. So srishti, laya, srishti and pralay. क्या था? Srishti, sthiti, laya. That's the three things. So srishti means the creation, the manifestation. Sthiti means the maintenance, the fact that it goes on for some time. And laya means the resolution back,
Destruction.
unmanifestation. These three are the jobs of Ishwar. Shrishti, Sthiti, and Laya. So you'll see that a lot when it goes on. But I think the important thing is to understand about the concept of vyakta and avyakta, manifestation and non-manifestation. So in our context, what that means is, and you'll see that in the next verse, today I'm manifest because I'm here. This shape is manifest, right? This body. Tomorrow I'll be gone. This body will become unmanifest. Then I will have a new body. A new body will be manifested with me. and that cycle will go on. But the point to remember is, what is it that is being manifested and unmanifested? Manifested and unmanifested. The day,
Dehi.
no. What is being manifested?
Oh, the Deha, right.
right? The Deha is the one that is being
Yeah.
You're seeing. It's a
Yeah.
manifestation.
Yeah.
What
Mhm.
happens to the Dehi?
It is
Dehi
unchanged.
is always unmanifest.
Unmanifest.
That's why we can't see it. It's unmanifest. It's avyakta, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And ये जो देहा जो है ना, ये भी actually as we learn more about it, we'll realize that it's not that it's the deha exists as itself. Deha appears. It's it's Brahman appearing as the deha. In other words, see, so people ask, if the Brahman, the Dehi, is the one that you are, then how does it show up as body? If the Dehi becomes the body, becomes the Deha, then it's no longer the Dehi. Then it's the Deha. Then only when it goes back into dissolution, then it becomes the Deha back again. It's like saying, I have a pot of milk. I make it into curd. So if you make the milk into curd, you don't have milk anymore. You have
Yeah.
only curd. If there was a way to make the curd back into milk, then you won't have curd, but you'll have milk. So why is it? But that is not the way that it happens here. So the Dehi is the one which is the Ishwar, which is the powerful being, which is the one which is doing the manifestation. But the Dehi itself doesn't change. But whatever it manifests is changing all the time. So the clear example of this is like a dream. You're lying down and sleeping and you're dreaming. Now, when you're dreaming, you can see a whole different world in front of you. It's very real to you. But nothing has happened to you. Nothing has happened to the mind which is dreaming. There is no change. You're still actually sleeping. But to you, who's in the dream, there's a very real world that has been created. You don't know it's a dream. It's the same thing with us. We don't know we are in a dream. We are seeing a very real world. But this world is the dream of Ishwar. And when Ishwar wakes up, this world resolves back into unmanifest state. And then the Ishwar sleeps again, a new dream is created. Okay, this is just, I'm giving you more information than necessary at this
No,
point.
I don't understand that.
Yeah.
This is the dream of Ishwar.
Hmm.
No, this is the God is playing with us then.
Yeah, well, I mean, that is all our interpretation or our thoughts. We are putting value judgment on it.
Yeah.
But
Whether it is playing or not.
when the Deha becomes manifest, how is that God's dream? It's
Deha becomes manifest by who has the power to manifest Deha and Dehi. Who's the maker? Na? Maker is there who has to make it.
Dehi is doing that.
Dehi.
Yeah.
The maker is the intelligence. The intelligent cause is the Dehi.
Yeah.
Dehi is the one which actually exists, right? Which is creating all these forms. But it is creating all these forms without changing itself.
Yeah.
And it's not creating it out of some material like clay. There is no such material, doesn't exist. The material is also Dehi. So we don't, we will get there eventually. But the only thing I will tell you is, think about a dream. Dream is a wonderful example because when you are lying down and you're sleeping, right? And you're dreaming, you forget that you're dreaming, right? For you, the dream is very real. Everything around you is very real. If in the dream, I come in your dream and I ask you, Mita, is this house you're living in real? You'll say, yeah, it's made out of wood and bricks and stones or whatever. And you will knock it and see, yeah, it's real. I'd say, is my body real? You'll say, yeah. You give me a big punch and I can feel the pain. I give you a punch, you will feel the pain. Everything is completely real for the dreamer. But who is making this dream? Who has created the dream? It's Mita's mind that has created it, right? Mita, which is sleeping, has created this dream.
Yeah. But no, I understand that. But when you say that the world is God's dream, that part I don't understand.
It's because it's to tell you that, is the dream real?
The world is not real.
No. It's as real as the dream is.
Yeah.
To the dreamer, the dream is completely real. To me,
that means to God, this world is real?
To God, who's the maker, this world is a temporary form. To God, this is a form which comes and goes. It's as real as the dream is to you when you're up, awake,
In and out.
in and out. But the God knows what is real. God knows that what is real is the Dehi, that is itself,
Mm-hmm.
right? That is what is real.
Yeah.
But to us who are living in this world, who are
Mm-hmm.
living in the dream, so to say, the dream is totally real,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's what it's
Yeah.
trying to say.
Yeah.
But it's also
Mm-hmm.
manifestation and not, which is to say that from living in this world, you cannot imagine manifestation and non-manifestation. This world is this all we have.
Yeah.
But actually, what is happening is there is a power, there is a presence, there is something called the Dehi or the Ātma or the Brahman, whatever you want to call it, for which this world is just thoughts. The
Mm-hmm.
thoughts of that Atma or whatever are what are manifesting as the world around us. The knowledge is manifesting as the world around us. Just like what is dream? Dream, which as a dreamer seems very real, but in reality it is Mita's thoughts. You have some thoughts which are coming up, some unresolved emotions, something, some thoughts. When the thoughts show up in your mind at night, they show up as a dream. It's your thoughts, it's your knowledge, it's
Mm-hmm.
whatever you dream, I can't dream because I haven't had the experiences that you have had. Therefore, I won't have the thoughts that you are having. So my dream will be different because my thoughts are different, because my knowledge is different.
Mm-hmm.
Your knowledge, your thoughts, your experiences are different. So they are the ones that define your dream.
Yeah.
So the dream is nothing but a manifestation of your thoughts, which are
Mm-hmm.
by themselves unmanifest. So when you're thinking in your mind, those thoughts are all there. You're not thinking about those thoughts all the time. All of us have lots of thoughts in our mind, but we are not thinking of all the thoughts all the time. Otherwise, we'll go mad.
Mm-hmm.
We take one thought at a time or two thoughts at a time. Like I know Punjabi, but I'm not thinking Punjabi. If you tell me need to speak something in Punjabi, I will be able to speak. Then I will recall my Punjabi and speak it. So only one or two thoughts are manifest at a time.
Mm-hmm.
All the other thoughts are unmanifest in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
They're all there, but unmanifest, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Similarly, this world too, there's a lot of stuff which is unmanifest, and some things get manifested. Similarly, about your dream also. You can dream many, many different things on different nights because some
Mm-hmm.
things you choose to manifest
Mm-hmm.
in every dream, in every night. So, this concept of manifestation is very important in Vedanta. If it's not clear, it will get clear. It's not a very complicated concept. It's just very unusual. It's very different
Mm-hmm.
from the way we think about things.
Mm-hmm.
Because हमको लगता है blank है and blank में कुछ हो रहा है. वेदांत कहता है blank नहीं है. All the knowledge, everything already exists. It all exists in an unmanifest form. और at one particular moment वो manifest हो रही है एक चीज. अगली चीज manifest होती है अगले मोमेंट में. हमको लगता है वो एकदम नहीं है. It's completely new. It's
Mm-hmm.
not new.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the next thing which is getting manifested. And then the next thing which is getting manifested.
Mm-hmm.
But to a person who is living in this world, who doesn't know this, who doesn't have the oversight of the whole thing, who's just living in that moment, the next manifestation is a new thing. It's a new creation, right? And the previous manifestation is death, is died, is gone. For us, only the manifested right now exists. What was there before is gone, death.
Yeah.
What is coming is new,
Mm-hmm.
birth. But
Yeah.
with knowledge, you know that all of these things are there all the time. It's just what is being manifested.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I know this
Yeah.
is a long winded way to tell you, but this will come again in the future. And you can see now why we didn't go into this, 3 months ago when we were already burdened by so much of so much of gyan. So
Yeah.
this is another concept. And with this concept, now the basic understanding of Vedanta, all the different concepts you have now. The rest of the Gita is going to go deeper into many of these and more detail.
Yeah.
Okay. Neeta, is it completely over the head or tu samajh aa raha hai?
No, I'm understanding it.
You are now? Okay, good. Because
Yeah.
it's remarkable because you're the first time you're coming, and if you can understand, that's very good.
Yeah. No, I understand.
Okay. So this was, let's go back to the shlok then. So now you can see he's saying the Ātma is avyakta. Avyakta ayam. Achintya ayam. Avikāri ayam. Right? Then what's the next one? Then he says, and if you take this Atma to have constant birth and death, even then you ought not to grieve. So he's saying, agar aap na bhi believe karo, he's just telling Arjun, just by the way, if you think that Atma is not eternal, it will, be born and die, then also nothing to grieve because it will be born again. Nothing, everything that dies will be born again. You cannot say that I will create something out of nothing, and you can't say I will create nothing out of something. That's impossible. So that's what he's trying to say. You can't just suddenly emerge, human being is suddenly emerged, and then suddenly is gone with death. That's illogical. So whatever it is, whoever it is that who's listening, experiencing within you is not going to go. Then he's saying, again, this is a very important one. For that which is born, death is certain. And for that which is dead, birth is certain. Therefore, you ought not to grieve over that which cannot be altered. This is, I think, it's a very, in my view, very important shlok because jatasya hi dhruvo mrityu. Dhruva means certain. Jatasya means of the born. Of that which is born, he means indeed. Indeed, certain mrityu. Mrityu is certain. Then he says, dhruvam janma mritasya cha. So dhruvam, matlab, certain is janma, birth, for that which is dead, also cha. So if we understand this, then a lot of our grief goes away. If we understand this simple thing. And then he says, avyakta adi, okay, again, adi, in the beginning, avyakta, bhutani, jo jeev jantu hain, the living beings hain, you, me, all of us. In the beginning, we were avyakta. In the beginning means before we were born. Vyaktam madhyani bharata. Ho Arjun, in the beginning we were avyakta. In the middle, we are vyakt. Vyaktam madhyani. But in the middle, we are vyakt. We are manifest. Right now, we are manifest. It's in the middle. Avyakta nidanan eva. Avyakta nidanani eva. That means when hamara nidan ho jayega, when we die, we will again become unmanifest. Tatra ka paridevana. So therefore, what's there to grieve about? That's what he's saying. So he says, even us, we are also unmanifest. Then we get manifest. Then we get unmanifest again. Then we get manifest again. That's the reality. We call that next birth, but that's how it works. And we can do these also. This is going to give you guys some relief, this shlok, because it says, Bhagwan wraps up the first part of the second chapter now, and he says, Ascharyavat pashyati kaschit enam. That means this Atma is such a thing, जिसके बारे में ये बात कर रहा है आत्मा आत्मा आत्मा, कि आश्चर्यवत है, मतलब people are surprised, सोचते हैं this is a wonder, it's like a wonder. So one looks upon the self as a wonder. Some people look upon the self as a wonder. Similarly, another speaks of it as a wonder. It's a wonder because we have never come across it. We don't know anything like this. And another hears it as a wonder. And still another, even after hearing about the self, doesn't understand it at all. And that also is a wonder. Okay? So he's saying it's a wonder. In fact, they call it in the Upanishads, they call it rahasya. Rahasya isliye because if the Upanishad and the Gita and all, they don't tell you about it, you will never know about it. So that's the first reason why it's a rahasya. Because most people living day-to-day life, you will never come across it. So it's a rahasya. And the second reason, that's Kiki, I think. Kiki, is that you? Somebody entered. Anyway, so the second reason that it's a rahasya is because even after someone tells you, it's very hard to understand. Somebody joined, I think, on the phone.
No, actually, I was joined
Okay,
my
that's
phone.
fine.
My
कोई
battery is running out.
अच्छा कोई बात नहीं ठीक है. So that's the other reason why it's a रहस्य, and it's a wonder also because एक तो nobody can, if somebody doesn't tell you, you'll never hear about it. 1 in a million hear about it. Then of that million, one in a million, 1 in a million understand it. Because it's one of those things, you can't just understand it just because you heard about it. It's still a rahasya. Firstly, it's a secret. Then if you hear about it, it's an open secret. Because you don't understand the damn thing. What the hell? Because I can't see it. You'll say, मैं तो देख ही नहीं सकती, मैं तो सुन ही नहीं सकती. Like, what use is this to me? So, but it is a big use once you get it. So that's why it's a wonder. So Bhagwan Krishna acknowledges it here to Arjun right up front. Okay, it is a wonder. And it's something which is very special, something which is very big, a mystery. And that's how it is. So, you have to be lucky to be introduced to it, and then very lucky to be ready to understand it. Because to understand it also requires a lot of preparation, which we ultimately, that's what we will do. Now we've all heard it. To really get it and believe it and absorb it, we have to go through this Karam Yoga and all the things that we talked about, the purification of the mind. Because otherwise our mind is it's not eka buddhi, it's not focused, right? It's not strong enough to really believe this thing. Then he finishes by saying, Bharata, Arjun, this Ātma, the indweller of the bodies of all beings, is ever indestructible. Therefore, you ought not to grieve for all these people. So he just wraps it up. This is the essence of it. He's saying you don't need to grieve because they are not going. This Ātma is indestructible. You're not going to kill them. You're not going to destroy it. You can try your level best. You can put your Brahma Astra or whatever you want. Nothing will happen. The Ātma will continue.
To have a couple of questions. Should I ask now or wait?
Yeah, I think we are done with this part, and then we have a couple more shloks to do at the end of this, but they will at the end of the first chapter. We'll do that next time, and then after that we can summarize chapter 2 properly. That was the plan. But for now, I think we are done. I mean, whatever questions you have, we can talk about them.
Okay. I'll just ask the ones I have together. One is that if you go to the prior page, when he says that when you spoke about Ātma is not manifest, you can think of it as unmanifest. The self is
right.
The self is said to be unmanifest.
Right.
Isn't the only thing that manifests the self, is that not the material of everything that is manifested? That's number one. Number two is, when they say...
I couldn't understand. Say that again, the first one.
I'm saying that the only thing that is manifested is the self. Everything, the material of everything that
understood
is,
that.
right?
Then what is the second one?
And then the second one is that, when Krishna Bhagwan says you should not grieve because the Ātma never dies, Krishna Bhagwan is talking as a manifested form to another manifested form who is Arjun. So he's saying, Arjun, you Jiva should not manifest for another Jiva because the truth of both of you is Ātma. But he's talking to Arjun as a Jiva, and the Jiva, the body of the Jiva, all these relationships happen at the level of the body, and they do die. So the bodies do die. So, what help is it to say, like, don't grieve because your Ātma is not dying? The Ātma is not grieving. It's the mind that is grieving.
Correct. But the mind that is grieving, but the mind doesn't know, na? So let's take one at a time. So the first question is what actually the question is a good question, because that is what I was trying to explain when I thought it's becoming too complicated. That this is the thing, that the example for that is the dream. It is true that it is Brahman which is all there is, right? And you say Brahman is the material, but there is no material. This is not a new thing which has been created. It's not that Brahman has suddenly changed and become the world. It's an appearance. And the only way to think about it and understand it, and this is the essence of Advait Vedant. Advait Vedant says that there is this Brahman which cannot change, and the rest of the world is an appearance in Brahman. So the way to understand this is the dream. Your mind is the one that is dreaming, but your mind has not changed. So what's the material? Actually, let's say you dream and you dream of a building made out of bricks. Where did the bricks come from? For you, the dreamer, the brick is very real. If I
Yeah.
ask you in your dream, what is this house made of? You'll say brick. So I'll say, where is the brick coming from? You'll say, oh, it was made out of mud. Somebody actually baked it. The mud came from digging the planet. But where is all the material coming from? There is no mud. There is nothing. But for the dreamer, it's very real. So how do you answer that question?
So the material is the mind, right?
There's no material.
Whatever is manifesting as brick is really the mind that is manifesting as the
But
brick or
that's
the
the thing.
material.
You can say that, but then your mind is no change in your mind. If you look at your
Right.
sleeping mind, has your mind become a brick?
No. So that's what I'm saying, that how can you say, so in that circumstance, would you say that the mind is not manifesting as
No,
brick?
it doesn't matter what you say. What I'm trying to say is understand this situation that you're sleeping, your mind has not undergone any change. It has not become a brick, right? Your mind is still what it is.
Yes.
But yet, when you're dreaming, all that happened is that the mind has a thought. That thought of a brick, you actually saw as a brick in your dream. In your waking state, when you have a thought, you know it's a thought. In your dream state, that thought of a brick actually became a brick. And the one who is dreaming will never believe that this is not a real brick, it's just a thought. It's like we are living in this world,
Yeah.
and I'm saying this is a real phone.
Yeah.
And Guruji Bhagwanji tells me this is just a thought in my head. It's not a real phone, right? The dreamer will never think. So that will answer your question. Your question of what happens.
So
So
is
you
the
can say,
entire
you
point
decide.
just, sorry. So I was saying, was the entire point of that just to say that Brahman doesn't undergo change? Is that the point of it?
No. The point is to say that things manifest and unmanifest all the time.
Yeah.
Even in your dream. Your dreams manifest and unmanifest all the time. Now, I can give you words to say the thought manifested, not the mind. Or you can say the mind manifested. Those are just words, right? That's not important. The important thing is to understand that although your mind never had no change, still it manifested the dream. So although Brahman has no change, it's avyaktam. It's avyaya. Avikārya. कहा था ना उसने avikārya मतलब no change. Even though the Brahman doesn't change, that means you yourself, Brahman is you, still it manifested a changing world. And the manifested changing world will go back into unmanifestation, then it will manifest again, then it will go back. And all that is happening, all that activity is happening. And the real substance behind it all, the only substance which is Brahman, no change is happening to the Brahman. It
Okay,
is
but
unchanged.
you are saying that the real substance is Brahman, right? In
Yes.
everything.
The-
That is where I started. That was my question, that the real substance is Brahman in all this manifestation. And yet we say Brahman is unmanifest.
Absolutely.
That's my question.
Yes. Because Brahman is unmanifest, because no change has happened to the Brahman. How can Brahman manifest? If Brahman is manifesting into something else, then the thing could have changed. That's what I'm saying. If you go by the words, you may get confused. You just understand the idea,
Okay.
which is that, and to understand the idea, use the dream example. That it is possible for me to feel that something is real, completely real, but it may not be so. From a different level of reality, from a different plane of reality, that may not be as real.
Yeah.
And now I think I've completely confused everybody because
Sorry. Maybe I should not. Sorry.
But that's what it actually means, you know. So that's Advait Vedanta for you. You know, it's not a simple philosophy. That's why they say Ātma is a wonder. Because Bhagavan Krishna says Ātma is a wonder because all this is happening. This is like unreal. We could never think. I could never think unless somebody tells me that this is real only at my level of consciousness, my level of reality. At a different level, this may not be so real. And the thing is that the more you think about it and the more familiar you get over many years, the more you begin to understand it. And it starts changing your worldview. you know.
Sure.
Chalo. And the second question was yeah, the
The
second
second
question is
question, yeah.
the second
Yes,
question I
sir.
don't even know how to answer it because you're saying it's like everything is at this level only. But will the fact, let's say will the fact that you now your mind has this knowledge that nothing will happen to it, nothing will happen to it, the mind. Nothing will happen to the essence of the mind. If you know this, will your grief be reduced?
Well, I was specifically asking about the relationships. I was just saying that the relationships do occur, not at the level of the Atma, right? So you're saying don't grieve the loss of a relationship.
Correct. There's no
But I'm
reason to
saying,
grieve the loss of a relationship because those because the grief is because you think the grief could be many reasons. One is you think that the other person who you love very much has gone out of existence. So Bhagwan Krishna says that's not true. Another reason could be you are very attached to the person and you think you cannot live without the person. That is also not true. The problem is not the grief is not coming because of the person, the grief is coming because of the attachment. So, why are you attached to that person? Why is that attachment of such nature that you feel you can't live without that person? What's the root cause of that? So, a wise person who's resolved, who understands all these things, who understands why these things are happening, will not grieve. That is the claim of Krishna Bhagwan. I am not a wise person, so I can't say all this with complete authority. But at least this is what Gita says. So you can think about it yourself and see whether this is actually true or not, or whether you believe it or not. But this is very much the claim, which is that all these things happen because, and why was Arjun deluded? He was so upset about having to kill Dronacharya and Bhishma Pitama that he ignored everything else. He forgot everything else. He forgot about the dharma. He forgot about the fact that the Duryodhana had to be dealt with. He forgot about his role as a warrior. What is his job? Everything has gone out of the window because of attachment. He could have had a lot of respect for Dronacharya, and he could have understood where Dronacharya came from, and yet killed him. It's totally fine. But he thought that he will have a personal loss. If Dronacharya is gone, I will be personally reduced. My life will not be worth living. That is a delusion, according to the Gita. Okay, very harsh, but it's what it is.
I want to ask one thing.
Yeah, Anita, sure.
In the last sentence, we were just reading that we take birth, death, it keeps on
Right.
coming.
Right.
But then where does moksha come? Where does liberation come? मतलब हमेशा ऐसे चलता रहेगा कि कभी इससे जन्म मरण से बाहर भी निकलेगा.
So the answer to that, I mean, actually speaking, is if you want this Janam Maran, it will continue. If you don't want this Janam Maran, then you will try and get for moksha. In fact, it's very interesting because Swami Dayanand को किसी ने पूछा था. Swami Dayanand ने somebody was asking similar kind of question. So Swami जी मेरे को कब होगा?
मोक्ष में.
तो स्वामी कहते हैं अगर मैं आपको कहूँ ना कि तुमको कल मोक्ष मिल जाएगा, दैट मीन्स अब कल के बाद तुम्हारा रीबर्थ नहीं होगा. तो तुम कहोगे नहीं कल नहीं, थोड़ी देर के बाद, maybe after like a few years, because you want a rebirth. So first of all, figure out what you really want. Do you want a rebirth or do you want moksha? Right? Don't go
If
for
a
moksha
person
just because it is a done
wants
thing.
moksha, what is if a person wants moksha and come out of this, then
Huh?
what's the process? What is the process? How do you go about it?
Well,
इस
the
चक्कर से
only
बाहर
if you want moksha,
yeah.
then the process is to know that you already are in moksha. It's not that something you are going to get new.
Yeah.
Why are you in moksha already? Because you are the dehi. देही का तो ना जन्म हो रहा है ना मरण हो रहा है,
मरण हो रहा है। ओके,
देहा का हो रहा
हो रहा है।
है। आप सोचते हो मैं देहा हूं, तो आपको सोचते हो मेरा जन्म मरण हो रहा है। जब आप ये सोचना शुरू कर दोगे कि मैं देही हूं, तो आपका जन्म मरण खत्म हो जाएगा।
खत्म हो
देन आगे जो भी हो रहा है, whether the body is being coming or not, it doesn't matter.
Good way to put it.
Mhm.
Right? So that is why moksha means knowledge.
knowledge.
But do you want to believe that you are a dehi? That is the big question. Or are you happy? Which are now, again, back to the matrix, where there's a blue pill and the red pill. And one of the guys, if you remember, he took the blue pill or whatever, and then he said, no, I made a mistake. I was happy living with my delusion. Because in the delusion, I could eat steak, I could, do things, I could, like, so why do we want moksha? Really, it's a really the most important question, because what you may want, what I may want, is not moksha. What I may want is a better way to deal with the unhappiness of my life and be very happy with the happiness of my life. Right? I may say I want to live this life because I love it. I love all the things that are there in this life. I love my children, my wife, my house, my everything. I love my job. I want to live in this life. But I've come to the conclusion and realization that, there are certain things which I can't deal with. Like, I'm getting old. I have issues, health issues. What can I do with them? They are going to cause me grief. So I might say I may have relationship issues, मेरी बीवी मेरे को रोज डंडा मारती हो, कुछ करती होगी, काम नहीं करता, ये नहीं करता, लेजी है, सारा दिन वेदांत पढ़ता रहता है, कुछ तो काम करो, कुछ पैसे कमाओ, राइट? All these things she tells me, then I say, okay, yeah, this is not good. This is causing me suffering. So I want to get rid of this suffering. So all I want, for example, is I want a happy life and I want a way to deal with my suffering. Maybe Gita can give me a better way to deal with my suffering. One way to deal with the suffering is to become a little bit of a karam yogi, to understand a little better why, with my life, how can I, if how can I have the right expectations? If I can understand this better, how can I have the right expectation from myself and from others? That is going to make my life better, right? So that's what I want right now. Now, yes, I also want to learn about Vedanta. It's an interesting thing to learn. It's it gives me pleasure. So I learn about Vedanta too. But do I really want moksha? What is moksha? Because if moksha is only about not being born again, that is like a running away from life. That is not moksha. What Vedanta says moksha is not about not being born again. It says moksha is being in a state where you're always constantly aware of your true nature. And because you're constantly aware of your true nature, you're constantly content. You are santusht. You have tranquility. Once you are in that state, whether you're living in this life, whether you have new lives, whether you have no more lives, won't even
doesn't matter then.
Only this moment will matter. Because whether the lives will happen or not depend on Ishwar. That depend on, actually, and Ishwar is what you. So it depends on you only. If you want more lives, you'll have more lives. So the problem is we have so many misconceptions with Vedanta because हमको आधी knowledge होती है. लोग बातें करते रहते हैं और हम वही सुनते रहते हैं without knowing. That's why we think ये मोक्ष क्या है? It's some special thing which has to be achieved. बड़ी मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी उसके लिए. That kind of a thing. It is, in a way it is, and in a way it is not.
Maybe moksha is like getting detached from everything and then still living in the world.
Yes, that is true. That is another way to describe it.
Yeah.
To get detached from everything.
No attachments and just doing your duties without getting.
But not out of despair. Not the way Arjun, जैसे अर्जुन कह रहा था ना,
willingly.
अर्जुन कभी अभी आप देखोगे chapter 3 में, this is what Arjun का question is. He says मैंने तो संन्यास लेना है. क्यों लेना है? Because he doesn't want to fight this war. Because he doesn't want to kill Dronacharya. So उसने संन्यास लेना है. That is not a good reason for sannyas.
Yeah, it's running away.
You know, this world is
Yes,
giving me the creeps. You know, I'm like, this is horrible. I'm just going to detach myself. It will be great if you can detach yourself from the pleasures.
Yeah.
That will be something.
True.
You know, detach
Yes.
yourself from something you like. फिर तो कोई बात बने. You know,
बात-
detaching yourself from something you don't like, no, no big deal.
That would be very easy.
Very easy, right? Anyway,
But Nidhu, why do you have to detach yourself from the pleasures? You can
not at all.
you can enjoy the pleasures
Yeah.
and just have the self-knowledge, and that should be good enough, right? I mean, why should we
Absolutely.
deprive ourselves of something which gives us pleasure? God has given
Only-
us this life to live a full life.
Yeah. So, Meeta, the only
Right.
reason, and this is the only reason that you would do
Mhm.
that, is if by that detachment, whatever you call it, you get a greater pleasure. That will be the only reason to go for that detachment. If you're getting pleasure from something and you're happy with it, there's no reason to detach.
And it's not causing any harm to anybody else.
Yeah, that's totally
Why
fine.
not?
Yeah, but if indeed there was a situation
Mhm.
where you understood that by detachment, the pleasure that you're going to get is 100 times more than the pleasure you get by going out with friends, having a good time, right? Then you might consider detachment. I'm saying hypothetically.
But I wouldn't know it till I do it. And why would
Yeah.
I leave it when I'm
No,
enjoying it so much?
you should not. I am not asking you to. I'm just saying
No,
hypothetically.
I'm saying that you're not, but it's just hypothetically, I'm asking if I'm enjoying something so much, if I find pleasure in it, why would I give it up?
Another key maybe, I don't know, Nitu, you tell me, is
Mhm.
that if you didn't you have it, and if a circumstance came in that you didn't have it, would that make you unhappy?
Would you be able to live with yourself
But the thing is,
without that pleasure?
we are talking hypothetically.
Yeah.
But remember, Sharanagati mein हमने कहा था ना, right in the beginning, Sharanagati. So Arjun ki Sharanagati. Why did
Mhm.
Arjun go to the Gita? To Bhagwan Krishna asking for Gita.
Because he had a need at that time. He was
Because
desperate.
he was desperate. उससे पहले तो he was a boss.
He was fine.
Prince है, you know, he's the most skilled archer in the world. He was great at music, great at art. Women were running around after him, and you know, he had a fantastic. His body was great. Everything was wonderful. He never went to Krishna Bhagwan. He knew Krishna Bhagwan for ages. He never went to him and told him, "I'm your shishya." Never did. But when he reached a situation where none of these things worked, his archery skills, his knowledge of warfare, you know, his knowledge of the arts, his beautiful body, his great mind, all powers of concentration, nothing worked because he was faced with a situation where he had to kill Dronacharya and Bhisham Pitama. None of these things worked. So, all the things which are giving him pleasure were of no meaning for him at that moment. That is why he went. So that's a requirement of Sharanagati. A requirement is you have to be in a situation where you realize that whatever you have today, all your wealth, all your contacts, all your knowledge is coming up short. Then you go to Sharanagati. Even that is not enough. All that knowledge that is one part of Sharanagati. Uske baad, you have to say, I realize and accept that this situation is beyond me. I don't know the answer. Number two. And number three, you have to find a person, a sampradaya, a guru, who can teach you this. That's Sharanagati. So you tell me, number one doesn't work for you. You are happy. Right? So वहीं पे number one पे ही flat हो गया. So then you don't have to do anything. So I honestly, you know, that's what I'm saying. Just because our parents and their parents read the Gita all the time and they read Vedanta and they said this is such a great thing, doesn't mean that you have to give up everything and go running after it. So, I mean, I had my circumstances which made me feel, I've come to a stage in life where I need some assistance, right? So that gave me partial Sharanagati. But it's not like I'm detached. I'm very happy. I'm also I look around, tariffs आ गए हैं, 10%, market has gone down 20%. So I'm sweating it out. कल को ऊपर चला जाएगा, I'll be very happy. So all that is also part of my life. So I'm also not like, क्या कहते हैं, any perfect example of a shishya. But okay, I'm kind of halfway there, you could say. But you don't need to be. And definitely, the one thing you have to know that if ever anybody tells you, give up something that you are enjoying for some future benefit, which may or may not come, that's a pakhandi. Don't go there. Only when you are convinced that I need to give up this because I don't have time for this any longer. I am on a pursuit which is much more meaningful for me, which is going to give me a lot more pleasure, right? Then you're not even going to give it up. It'll fall off. It's not you're trying to give up. अपने आप ही गिर
Correct.
जाएगा. It's like the ripe fruit. वो पेड़ से गिर जाता है. अगर आपको किसी चीज, if you have to give up something, then there's a little bit of a question mark. You have to say, okay, why? Like. In Karam Yoga, though, you have to do a little bit of discipline. If you're following Karam Yoga, which you will, once you have a strong desire for knowledge, once you say you're on the path, you will follow Karam Yoga. In Karam Yoga, you have to do a little discipline. Thoda bahut, because a little bit of discipline is needed. And that's needed for anything, I mean, you'll like if you're doing any project, let's say you're involved in a big project and that requires you to do things in a disciplined manner, you will find within yourself to get that discipline. That motivation will be there. But Vedanta never says. Vedanta says, in fact, actually, I'm going to send you another article. I'm keeping on sending. I've written it again, hopefully in a simple way, about the 3 stages. Right? We have the first stage. The first stage is of our ego. When, we are born, we grow. That ego, there's a feeling of separateness. I am separate from the others. And I want to be happy. And I want to do good. And I want to be competitive. And I want to, not in a bad way. But, हम बच्चों को सिखाते हैं कि, अच्छा काम करोगे तभी आगे बढ़ोगे. आगे बढ़ोगे का मतलब बाकी दुनिया से, राइट? नहीं तो उसकी तरह हो जाओगे, वो जो बेवकूफ बच्चा है, राइट? और नहीं तुमको अच्छा, right? That is what we tell them. So this is the first stage of our life where our ego is separate from everybody else. And we are just all about trying to become better and better and better. Because we think that's the route to our happiness, better and better and better. Then comes the second stage, which is we realize, oh no, this ego is a problem because there is never an end to it. The more I try to be better and better and better, the more there is to be better. So you get to a second stage, which is the healing stage, where you actually are healing the issues which have come about in your life because of this ego, because of this strong ego. Only after the second stage is the third stage, which is what we call moksha or whatever, resolution and all that. So you can't jump from the first stage to the third, because then you will feel you're giving up, right? So we are all in stage 1, and we are learning about stage 3. But
I think we're in stage 0 right now. Is there a stage 0?
No, stage 1 to have Mita. Your ego exists. It's not.
No, I'm saying it's
unmanifest.
stage 0, which is more than that, I guess, more than the ego, probably.
No, we are all in stage 1.
But they're not entirely sequential, right? So there's a little
No,
bit
they're
of
totally
mix up.
sequential. I mean, they're not entirely sequential. You're right. You're not entirely sequential.
Yeah.
But you can't. You can kid yourself about stage 3.
No, you can't bypass stage 2, but I'm saying
can't
that,
bypass stage.
yeah.
So stage 2 is very important, where we have to live in this world and be happy in this world.
Yeah.
First, you have to be happy in this world. Then you can think about, other bigger things.
Yeah.
But if you're unhappy in this world and say, मैं तो संन्यास ले रहा हूँ, then Krishna Bhagwan will turn you right back. Say, no, go back and sort your issues out first in this world. Then we'll talk about, badi badi baatein.
Yeah, I think
And
that's
karma yoga is to help you with stage 2, right?
Yes,
Sorry,
the
Mita.
karma yoga is
yeah,
helping.
no, that's fine. So I was going to say that pleasure is probably different than happiness.
Yeah,
So like pleasure will be kind of
the opposite of
transitory,
pain. Opposite
right?
of pain. Yeah,
Yeah, and then happiness comes out of contentment.
absolutely. Yes, that's
So
right.
that is what we are pursuing: contentment and tranquility,
Correct, correct.
like you
Exactly.
said.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. And when you start seeing it, when you start tasting it,
yeah,
it becomes real, then you will stop running after happiness. That's the claim.
yeah,
It's not that you have to detach. It's not that you have to give up. You just
yeah.
you just will not prefer it over contentment. You'll just be happier being content than being pleasured.
Yeah.
But what about all the people who just die very suddenly? They don't get a chance to settle all that they want to do in this life. Or
Yeah. See, so there's an answer to that. But the answer is that ये जो चीजें चल रही हैं सिर्फ एक जन्म की नहीं है. This has been going on in our life for many, many janams before, and they will continue on in the future janams. So this path to liberation or whatever is a multi-life, multi-janam process. So it doesn't matter if you die in this world, you will continue in the next janam, wherever you were. But the more important answer to in my view, the more important sort of reaction to that is, it doesn't matter. What will happen to others, what will happen tomorrow, all those doesn't matter. Yeah, okay, Kiki, bye.
Bye, Kiki.
So it doesn't matter. What matters is, what are you going to do next? That's all that matters. Like, what choice are you making right now for your next move? Because anything beyond that is out of our control anyway. We don't know what will happen to us only if we die tomorrow, right? But we are making choices in the moment right now based on our best understanding and best knowledge. And that's all we have to do. We don't have to strategize कि अभी मेरे पास सिर्फ 10 साल रह गए हैं इस दुनिया में, तो मैं यही करती हूँ, नेक्स्ट जन्म में आई विल स्टार्ट अर्ली. ऐसे ऐसे you don't need to strategize.
okay.
Okay,
Yes, all right.
Neeta?
This is great. No, this is
Okay,
very good.
good.
Good summary and good
Yeah,
good
but you know
discussion.
what we're going to do is, I do want to, because chapter 2 is so important, and Neeta have also joined recently. So what I want to do is, after we finish, next time I think we'll be able to finish the rest of chapter 2, जो भी बाकी छोटे मोटे हैं. उसके बाद from the following time, I want to actually go through the chapter 2 in a little more with just so reacquaint ourselves with the shloks. Not in such detail, but just so you know what shloks follow where and what is being said at what stage. Just so हमारे दिमाग में पता चल, आपके दिमाग में रह जाएगा कि गीता में ऐसे ये लिखा हुआ है. I know it doesn't seem very important right now. It's more logistics, but it's good to have this knowledge, Good to know. It'll help you later on as you go along in the Gita. It'll help you because you will be able to refer back.
Yeah.
ठीक है?
Very
Yeah.
good.
If you guys want, I was thinking about asking you for a voluntary assignment, which is to take one aspect of chapter 2. Next time we will list out the 5 or 6 key points. You guys, everyone take one aspect. The new ones are exempt. Meeta and Meeta are exempt.
Me
But-
too. I'm exempt too.
But first, the
Me
assignment
too.
to सुन लें.
I think
Me
Meeta
too.
and
I
Neeta
need lots of
they will be good students.
you take any one and just talk about it for like between 2 and 5 minutes.
No, you do the talking.
Okay, then at least you have to tell me what of chapter 2, because it covers almost everything, what has been of most interest to you. So think about that. What has been most relevant? What is most useful? You have to speak for 2 minutes. Speak on anything concerning chapter 2. This assignment is going to happen. I'm going to give it next time, and then you're going to talk about it the following time. So it's 4 weeks away.
I'm excused because I missed two.
Okay. It's voluntary. It's voluntary. Chalo. Anyway, I just wanted to give you a fair warning. Okay?
Okay, guys. Good night.
Very good.
Good
Need
night.
to settle my
Thank you,
day now.
Nitu.
Bye-bye.
Good to see you,
Thank
Meeta
you.
and Neeta. Welcome to the
Yeah.
group.
Yes.
Thank
Welcome to the
you.
group. Very
Yes.
nice to see you.
Yeah.
Very
Bye.
Thank you.
All right. Thank
Okay.
you.